that was a good one.
Nice crack. Welcome in. He's Torin. I'm Austin. We're the Ballon Drunks, where we just sit back, drink some beer, and talk some soccer. The season is almost over, Torin. We have 1 week left.
I know, man. It's almost here.
It's been a long season with the World Cup wedged in the middle, but it's almost over. Almost everything is decided at this point except the relegation battle. So actually, do you want to start there? Or do you want to start, we could go Man City title, but we kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah, no, we could start with relegation. I think that's more exciting for this coming weekend. So what we're still looking forward to paying attention to. So we'll start off with that. But first, we'll check in on our start of the show drinks.
There you go. I jumped the gun.
So looking at the games from last weekend, on the pick'em side of things, I took home third place. You took home fourth. So I will hand you a drink electronically right now. And then on the fantasy side, you took home third. I took home fifth. So I'll take a drink.
Haven't updated my lineup in about 4 weeks.
It doesn't seem to matter. I change mine every week, and I still get last or second to last. So just keep
I have
doing
a
what
feeling
you're
that other people are doing the same thing, but we'll see.
And then our prop bets from last week. So you chose, I think you had Chelsea at Man U today, which went pretty poorly for Chelsea.
Yeah, that was a fail.
But I actually got a win, or a tie, which is a win. I had Leicester at Newcastle, and they actually tied. So I'll hand another drink over to you. And then red card check-in, 0 red cards, which I got to say I'm a little bit surprised about, just being that there's so much on the line in some of these games coming down to the end. Some of the teams battling for relegation, but 0 reds from the weekend.
Well, that's the thing. If it is a high-stakes game that you need to win, you can't have someone get a card, you know?
I get it, but I feel like there'd be some desperation maybe, if it's slipping out of reach, at the very end of some of these games. I'm surprised there isn't a little bit of extras that go on with some of these teams. Maybe a team like Southampton, right, or Leeds as they're losing.
Yeah.
I think it's bound to happen at some point.
Well, we'll chat a little bit about it after we talk Premier League when we get into news, but we did have a red card in La Liga.
We did.
Infamous red card. A rescinded red card, but I'll still drink for it.
All right. 1 drink there.
Yeah, so we'll discuss that later. But let's get into... Wait, are there more drinks? Are we good?
No, that's it.
All right, good. Didn't want to skip that again. All right, so the relegation zone. Let me just give you an overview of the scores right now. 1 week to go. 20th place, Southampton, 24 points. They're locked. They're being relegated. Cheers, Southampton.
Cheers. Pour one out.
Here's where teams are still alive but need help. Leeds United and Leicester are tied at 31. Leicester has the edge of them on the tiebreaker. And then right above them is Everton with 33 points. So that means Everton controls their destiny. If they win, they are safe, and both Leicester and Leeds are out. So Leicester and Leeds both need a win in order for safety. Leeds needs a win, and then Leicester a tie or a loss, and then Everton a loss. So it's looking bleak for Leeds, a little better for Leicester. Everton's in control. How do you think this is going to shake out?
Yeah, well, I was just going to add on to you. So I pulled up the betting lines right now just to see where things stand with what you just talked through. So the current odds to be relegated is Leeds with a commanding lead at minus 3,300. Leicester at minus 600, Everton at plus 300. So a little bit obviously closer with Leicester and Everton. Massive jump to Leeds. So just like you said, things are looking pretty bleak for Leeds, and that shows accordingly in the odds. Really tough road for them. Obviously, they need help from 2 different teams, and they have a tough game playing against Tottenham.
That's the thing. They have Tottenham, who, I don't know, though. Tottenham is in shambles right now. So
As we'll get into.
You know they're going to come out fighting, and Tottenham might just roll over like they did last
Yeah.
week against Brentford at home. So that is the toughest of the matchups. Everton gets
Yeah.
to face Bournemouth, which I think
At home.
at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't win
Yeah.
that, then you deserve to be relegated. And then Leicester plays West Ham at home. So,
Yeah, I think Everton clearly has the edge here, obviously with the matchup and the opportunity they have in front of them. So I'm gonna be surprised if it finishes differently than that, than with Everton making it through.
yeah. Yeah, I really I want it to happen. We're going to get into our picks later.
I was
And
gonna say the same thing.
we'll see
My,
how
my picks say otherwise, but yeah.
Yeah, but if I was a gambling man, I would definitely go with Everton. They should stay up, which means Leicester City is probably going to go down, which is shocking. We talked about this, back in January? They were down here, and we're like, oh, they'll be fine. Madison's back. Like, they'll be all good. And now look at it. They're going to be gone probably.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's
How many years
I
have
mean, I
they
feel
been
bad
in the
that-
league? They won the league, what? That wasn't that long ago. Was that 5 years ago? 4?
7.
It was 7? Oh my
2016.
god. Oh my god. Time is flying by me.
Time is flying by. I know, but they had a really talented team. We talked about this, right? Look at the other teams that they're down there with. They're down there with Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Everton, Leeds, Southampton, right? The quality of their lineup and their squad is not at the level of those other teams, right? So I don't blame us for having the position we had back in January. They really should have found a way to not be in this position by this point, but obviously with the coaching changeover and injuries, they really struggled. They could not find any bit of consistency. They would show flashes of being good enough, right? But zero consistency coming from them.
Yeah. And then Leeds has just been in a downward spiral. Honestly, ever since Jesse Marsh left. They at least had
Exactly.
They had something when Jesse Marsh was there.
It felt like they had real passion and like courageousness to go forward, right? And they just feel so much more discombobulated now. Like when you watch them play, it's like it doesn't feel cohesive from front to back. And whether or not you liked his style, it was a style that everyone was like bought into and playing with, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the Tyler Adams injury really hurt. We talked about that before. That was just such a killer loss for them. He was doing so well. He was covering up so many deficits that they had.
Yeah, their defense has just been so bad all year. Yeah, American drink. So yeah, it's sad to see. Leeds was I was blown away by the Leeds crowd this year, and I really want to see him back in the Premier League because that is a top tier crowd, and it's definitely on my list of stadiums I want to go to next
100%.
time. Next time we're there, so I really hope they make it back. If there is a small chance that they stay up, but if they go down, okay.
I think they'll turn around and be back. I mean, it depends how many players they get rid of, but they're not a team that I see dropping down and staying down, right? I see them turning it around. So hopefully they're right back here after a year.
Yeah, I wonder if what's going to happen to some of their players. That's also the thing that happens. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them, but I feel like they really are working with a lot of these guys that probably could be playing at the championship level, right? Maybe they're still young and developing, right? Or they're not quite good enough. So I don't think they'll dismantle much of their team.
I hope not, because I did like a lot of their team. I just think they need massive help from a defensive end. So let's move to the top half of the table. Europa, UEFA set going into the final week. So none of the games matter for the top teams. We obviously have Man City who won the title. Arsenal in second. Man United and Newcastle are locked in the top four. So those are your
Congrats,
UEFA Champions
Newcastle.
League teams. Big surprise.
Mhm.
No one expected Newcastle there.
No one. Not at the
Nobody.
start of the
I
year.
don't even think Newcastle expected to be there at the beginning of the year. And then this is the disappointment. Liverpool missed out. They got fifth with 66 points. They cannot get into the top four with a victory. They had a devastating draw to Aston Villa.
Hmm.
And then bright spot, no pun intended, Brighton fill out the top six and get into Europa for the first time ever in their
Hell
club's
yeah.
history. Incredible. I'm so happy
Awesome.
that they made it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'm super stoked for them. I mean, we could talk about it now. So they played Man City a few days ago, and they look fantastic. Like they're a great team. This isn't a fluke. Like they are deserving to be where they are. That you could say they should have been even closer to challenging for Champions League with how they played in the back half of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Just players that mesh so well together, that are feeding off of each other. They're so you saw it when Enciso scored, all of the teammates were just so happy and excited. Like it was just like pure joy coming from the whole team. Even though the game, doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, obviously they wanted to get locked in for Europa, but it was an opportunity to have a statement game against the champions last year and this year's champions. And they showed up and the team played so well together. I'm just super stoked for them. I'm really excited to watch them play against other European teams and styles. I think they'll be really fun to watch next year.
And the players, like I think it was Pep actually, who had really high praise for the coach.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say his name? Deserby? Something like that?
Yeah. Deserby, yeah.
Said he's
They had a long hug after the game, yeah.
said he's just one of like the top managers out there.
Yeah.
And he definitely has got this team playing extremely well. But you also got to give credit to the players who I think have stepped up, and they all play hard. They all play together. I think that's the best thing I like about Brighton is they play as a team. I feel like there's no individualism. Everyone's fighting for a common goal, and you don't normally see that at the top level, especially with the really expensive teams and all the hired guns that they bring in, a la Chelsea. So it's just really, really cool to see. And I hope they can keep their core and keep this going next year.
Quickly stopping on that game though, did you have a chance to watch the highlights at all for this one?
I didn't watch the game. I caught like half the highlights.
Okay.
But
if you haven't had a chance, you need to watch Brighton's goal because it was.
Oh yeah, because I saw the Man City goal and then I didn't see.
It was just one of those classic, just perfect. It's like one of the most perfect shots, just like unstoppable in the upper corner. Absolutely ripped from outside the box. So take a look at it if
now
you
I
haven't
gotta
seen
pull
it.
that up. Yeah,
Pull that one up.
All right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So that, and then this new spot. What is it? What are they calling it? The like the seventh spot, like the Europa. What is it?
Oh, well, yeah. I think it was last
Conference
year. This
League
year,
qualifiers.
They
That's what it
started
is.
Europa Conference League, so it's basically the next step down from Europa. So basically now we have 3 European leagues. They definitely were playing it this year. I don't know if this was the first year though. It might have been last year, but regardless, there's now a 7th European spot, right? So right now Aston Villa is sitting there at 58 points with Tottenham and Brentford right behind them in striking distance.
So here's my thing though. If you're Tottenham, do you want to be in there? Do you really want to be in there? play some extra games for
nothing.
third tier European tournament? Like, probably not. I'd say Brentford probably wants to be in there.
I could see Aston Villa or Brentford wanting to be in there. I think that this is like our own opinion, from across the pond, but I really do think there is a lot more opinions against trying to be in European soccer if it's not Champions League, because there's so much pressure in staying in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We saw this, a few seasons ago with Burnley, right? They were so good they made it to Europa League, and it was literally like the start of their death knell. Like, they played in it, they struggled the next year, and the next year they went down after that. So, I mean, there's kind of some evidence there too to say this might not be the best thing long term for these teams and these players, but I don't know.
All I'm saying
I feel like
is,
you have the opportunity there, you got to go take it.
This could be a Tottenham tanking situation, which means Leeds could step up to the plate.
Oh,
just saying.
There's going to be a lot of drama in this, though, but it's also going to be potentially, we'll get into it, a Harry Kane farewell.
I feel like it's been a Harry Kane farewell / look at all these nice things we're doing for you because we love you so much. Yeah. Please stay, Harry Kane, type of thing. Like, please don't go. Look at this cool mural we made of you. Like,
whatever you want.
Yeah. And yeah, they should be doing everything that they can to keep him, because without him, they're probably they're in 8th right now. I was going to say mid-table team.
They need help.
Yeah.
And they need a coach.
They need some assistance for sure.
Badly. But I am absolutely stoked for this weekend. I don't think, I absolutely love the final Sunday of the season. I think all the games kick off at the exact same time. We talked about it before, but listening to the Premier League radio during that time would be absolutely awesome. So I'm super stoked. It's going to be, I think it's at 8:30 our time on Sunday. So
okay, perfect.
I love it. I cannot wait for this week. And even though there's not that much at stake, like the champions already decided, most of Europe besides this conference spot, the relegation battle alone.
Yeah, we got 3 matches that matter.
Super exciting simultaneously. Yeah. It's going to be so cool.
Yeah. And if Everton goes down, like, that's the thing nowadays. These players will know exactly what's happening in other matches.
Yeah, they won't be having to like listen on the radio and
like the bench will tell them, or they'll figure it out at halftime. Like, it's easy to get the information across. So it could really heat up if something like that happens. And so those are 3 matches to watch: Leeds, Leicester, Everton. Those are going to be epic. All right, let's get into some news, rumors, transfers, what have you. Starting with the Vinicius, I don't even know what to title it. The red card that was rescinded. I couldn't tell if he got upset because of fans specifically saying racist things to him, or if one of the Valencia players said something racist to him. But there was something racist said to Vinicius Jr. on Real Madrid when he was playing in Valencia. He got really upset, started like a pushing altercation with some players, got a red card, got sent off.
Yeah. After getting put in a headlock.
Yeah. And then the aftermath was the red card was just rescinded because of these horrible things that were said to him. And then what were some of the consequences? You laid it out earlier. What were they?
Yeah, well, so I don't know who else got red cards. I assume there were some players on Valencia that got red cards too. I don't know for sure, but from what I read up on, so his red card was rescinded. There were actually penalties handed down to some of the referees. I guess maybe it was like the VAR referees or something for deciding that he should have gotten a red. They said that was completely unfair, and they got suspended or fined or something. And then Valencia itself received a fine and a partial stadium ban. So their sort of ultra fan section has to remain closed for the next 5 games, which I believe will obviously go into next season. Until the 5 games are up, they're going to be basically, I think, at like half capacity in their stadium. So obviously a financial impact there for them. But really, really big outrage when this first happened. So all this happened, and it looked like La Liga was not going to do anything until a lot of other people spoke up, a lot of other players, media. It became a huge deal, and then they acted, and they, laid down these penalties, rescinded the red card. So overall, I think it was just a terrible look for La Liga.
Horrible.
For a league that already has a huge history with these racist type of moments, and not dealing with them effectively. It just one more bad mark for them.
And aside from the fact of it being after the fact with these consequences, there are also weak consequences. Okay, we're not allowing you to fill the stadium for 5 matches. We're giving you a portion of an empty stadium that you can't fill, and then they're fining them $50,000. What is that?
Bullshit. Yeah,
$50,000. The team.
It's nothing.
That's nothing for a player. Like,
yeah, that's literally like a quarter of probably like their best player's weekly wage. They just fined them for it.
This
It's like, what?
this shit would not fly in the U.S. This would never happen at this point in time. If
never.
Not a player, let's just say fans. If a fan said something racist, this has happened this year in the NBA. That fan is identified, kicked out, sometimes arrested, depending on what they said, fined, and then the team has consequences as well. Like, this stuff does not happen, and the individuals who say these things are liable for what they say. And that's what needs to happen here, or in Spain, I mean, and just doesn't happen. Like, the fans have no consequences, can say whatever they want. They think because they paid a ticket, they're allowed to yell whatever they want to fans, and the teams just don't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, it's not just Spain, I'll say, but I feel like Spain's probably the worst case of this, where, like you said, the punishment doesn't really fit the situation. Is it really going to deter this in the future?
It's no deterrent.
I doubt it. It's not going to do anything, right? So it's just a terrible look. It's just, and the worst part about it is, like, the players know and expect it. Like, I think he came out and made a post later. He's like, coming to Spain, I knew I should expect this, but I didn't expect it to be this bad, is basically what he said.
It's
and
sad.
It was the whole like, it wasn't one dude in the stands, right? It was like entire sections, it sounds like, that were chanting, and it's not acceptable.
That's the thing, is, like, it's not a deterrent for the fans. Like, they're not going to be like, hey, we got a 5-game ban of not being able to go to the games in this certain section. Okay, I'm never going to say this again. Side. And then the weak-ass consequences for the team itself is not a deterrence to change the fans' behavior. Like, that's what the consequences are there to do, is to change the behavior of either the fan or the people regulating the fans, and it's doing neither of those things. So it's just going to happen again.
It's crazy. Like if that happened in America, maybe not today, but say that happened like 10 years ago, I feel like it would have been Malice in the Palace times 100. Like, the stuff they were doing, players would just, it would just, like, I'm surprised that doesn't happen, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised players aren't going into the stands hearing some of the shit that they hear. It's a terrible situation that's got to be fixed.
Yeah, it's horrible. So I wonder if it would get to the point of players not wanting to play there.
I
But
feel like it must.
it obviously isn't a problem for Real Madrid because they just overpay for the best players in the world. But
Well, yeah. No, but I'm thinking like this to say like a mid-tier La Liga team, right? If say you're a player that isn't a star player, right? You're gonna get paid a decent wage, right, or whatever. And a player like that probably has an opportunity. Like, if you could play mid-tier in La Liga, you could probably play mid-tier in Ligue 1. You could probably play in Germany, right?
yeah,
Italy. And you're gonna probably, I would not be surprised for that to actually come into players' decisions to be like,
yeah,
I don't want to play there. Not that the other countries are perfect. Italy has a reputation, France, not Germany so much, but Spain just has the worst reputation right now, and it
yeah,
seems like for a while, and it doesn't seem to be improving.
yeah. So I had this argument with my brother about when we were in England. We went to a few matches, and I was like, "Man, dude, they say some fucked up shit in the crowd. Like, they're more racist than we are."
Oh,
And
for sure.
and he was like, "Oh, no way. No way. They're so much more progressive." And I was like, "I don't know, man. I just heard some shit that would get you arrested at home that nobody says. Like maybe like,
Yeah,
hardcore like MAGA people might say, but like
yeah.
it was next level what I was hearing, and to do it in a public setting, it was I was blown away. Um,
I mean, I would maybe agree with the thought that yes, there probably are people here that think that, right, and
yeah,
do say it, but the balls and just the familiarity to just say it in public at a sporting event, I agree with you 100%. That is a different level than America,
yes,
100%. Like there was no hesitation or whatever covering up, whispering what they were saying in the stands. They were yelling as loud as they could with no
dude.
fear of any repercussions.
People throw bananas on the field, like
Yeah,
it's horrible. It's horrible. So
really
yeah,
bad.
it needs to change, and Valencia, like the Spanish league, La Liga needs to grow some balls and actually put in some consequences that are going to make changes or put something in place. But
Something.
they're probably a bunch of racists themselves, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you're probably 100% right. It probably starts at the top. The La Liga executives and the team presidents, right, all the way on down. I
Yeah,
mean, it feels like a systemic problem, not just probably for La Liga, but Spain as a whole,
yeah,
in all forms of power. So I mean, it hopefully this amplified microscope on them maybe starts to create some change. I'm hopeful of that, but yeah, you're right. It's just feels rotten to its core, and it needs to be fixed.
yeah. All right, let's get back onto the field, and we got a little social conversation there, but uh, let's look at transfers because this is the season where the rumors are flying. Every
Rumors are
team,
beginning.
every team is targeting every top player. Who's going where? Who's wooing who? And we listed out a few of the top ones that we're going to talk about. Let's start with probably the most famous, and that's Neymar. Uh, Allegedly in advanced discussions with Man United. Uh, Also saw that he's a top target for Newcastle. I
Newcastle.
saw that on
I did not.
Friday.
I did not hear the Man U report.
Yeah, that's more recent. Things change in a
Okay.
matter of hours.
Okay.
But yeah, what are your thoughts then? If you just heard Man United, what do you think about that?
I think it's a terrible move by Man United. I feel like they already have. They already have, though he did get hurt today. Their version of that type of player with Anthony, who they already spent $100 million on. uh, they don't need another guy like that. He's not going to bring that much more. Besides publicity and drama, he's not going to bring much more that they don't already have. So I don't think it's a good move for them. I could see it maybe being a better move for Newcastle. I would like that more. I just don't feel like Neymar's the type of guy that would go to Newcastle. I just don't see that happening. So I don't know. I mean, he could end up in a million different places, but I think it's a bad move by Man U.
Well, the thing with Newcastle is they're in the Champions League.
Oh, it's a good point. I wasn't really
You know,
thinking
they're
about
not a
that.
scrub next year. They're in the Champions League.
True. True.
And yeah, we don't know the severity of that Anthony injury as far as when he's coming back exactly. But probably have a better chance of breaking through the starting lineup of Newcastle than he would Man United.
I mean, he would, but what? Come on, time out for a second here. Can you imagine the relationship between him and Eddie Howe? Can you imagine his personality on a Newcastle team? Like the definition of like blue collar, work hard. We're all in it for each other, togetherness. We're one with the fans. Give me a break.
In
like,
short,
he
no.
He is the opposite of the Newcastle mentality.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to be like, hey, even though I'm entering the twilight of my career, he probably still thinks he's the best player in the world and belongs on the top club.
Exactly. Yeah. He's going to think he's the man still, which, I mean, he's really good. I mean, we at times with the players we don't like, right? We kind of gloss over the fact that
he's really good.
Well, they are pretty good, even though we don't like him. And he's pretty good. He's not the best player in the world.
No.
And I mean, he's got great skill, but he's got a lot of poor qualities too. So, I mean, I'm not trying to just throw shade, but I don't think it would be the best move for either of those teams.
I agree. I'll throw shade for you. He is incredibly talented, but he's also turning 31. And in soccer years, that is close to the end. Mm-hmm. Unless you're Luka Modric, who is just a
ageless wonder.
Yeah, just a fine wine. But he's not the type of player that I think can help a Manchester United get over the hump or get to the next level of what they want to be doing, which is winning the league and winning Champions League.
Competing for Champions League, yeah.
I don't think that Neymar is the answer to that.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's probably going to cause more problems than fix them. And let me remind the Manchester United fans out there that it hasn't been more than, a week or two since PSG fans went to Neymar's house and chanted at him to get out of town. So I don't think they're really enjoying Neymar's time at their club.
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
I know. I would love to hear straight from a true diehard Man U fan what they would actually think about that. Honestly.
Well, this next Man U target I think is a better pickup. They are also looking at Hakimi, another PSG player. I thought this was interesting because I thought they had two good outside backs, maybe even three. And so to bring in another one I thought was interesting. Maybe they would want to play a little more advanced role for Hakimi. I don't know. Or maybe they like having Shaw. He's been kind of playing like center back a little bit more. So I don't know exactly if they're just looking for depth, if they think he's going to be a better player than what they have. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting one. What do you think? Would that be a good fit?
I think it would be because, I mean, if you look at their team, you would probably say besides a true striker for Wakehorse, their biggest weakness is probably right back. And Hakimi, that's his natural position. He can play left, right. He can play midfield. But I think it's just a straight plug-in, right? You get a proven player, got both international and high-level club experience. You can kind of just slot him into a squad and know he's going to fit and mesh well, and not even mess around with, like you were saying, the Luke Shaw side of things. Yeah. So I think that is a good move. I think it's a smart move. I think it's a move that doesn't require a lot of like restructuring of the formation. It's kind of, like I said, just a plug and play.
Yeah. I just think Wan-Bissaka is really good.
I I think he's a good player. I think he's unbelievably athletic, but for the top end teams, you need somebody that can be more offensive.
Yeah.
And he can't bring that at the other end. There was a chance today where he two chances I think he had where he obviously should have shot and he just didn't even think about shooting. He just
Yeah.
went for the pass immediately. And it's you know, I he's a great backup for a really good team, or I think a great starting back for a B level team. But I don't think he's the right fit for a top club.
I think he would be a really good like defensive midfielder or like a
Yeah,
kind of like nah, not like I was thinking like the John Stones in Man City, but
he's not. Yeah, he's not as polished in controlling the ball, but he's great at just like hounding people. Like
yeah,
he has
exactly.
the mentality that he could beat anybody. Right? I could beat anyone to the ball. I can win the ball. I can stay in front, which is great. Like qualities that you just love to have
Hmm.
in a player. But you got to find the right spot for him, right,
Yeah,
where it doesn't end
exactly.
up hurting you on the other side of things.
Yeah. All right, so those are the two that Man United are looking at, and then there's
Oh,
one
we got
more
some
actually.
more.
Yeah,
We got some more. Man U, all the rumors so far have been about Man U, a little bit about Chelsea, but everything so far it's pretty interesting. I don't know why, but it's just all focused on Man U, it feels like
I
so
know
far.
totally. Well, Man City is they're good. They'll probably bring in one or two people,
Yeah.
but yeah, Man United is looking to make that next step, and Chelsea. All the questions are, okay, who's leaving and who's staying? It's not about who's coming in. It's about okay, how many of these players that we just paid an insane amount of money for are walking out the door, and how many are going to keep playing for us?
Hmm.
So yeah, Man United is like the de facto storyline here.
Yeah, it feels like they're yeah. Besides Chelsea, obviously, they're the ones that feel like they need to make the most moves. Yeah, so the other target they're going after is actually from Chelsea, is Mason Mount. So he's been linked with a few different teams. The most latest rumor that's come out is that they're looking to try and buy him for around 50-60 million dollars off of Chelsea. I didn't realize this, but he's still really young. I think he's only like 23 or 24.
Yeah, he's young.
Um, yeah, I thought he was maybe more like 28 or something, but he's still pretty young. So that's why he's commanding so much value, obviously, in dollar amounts. Um, because he hasn't played much this year, I feel like I don't really have an opinion anymore on it. We've talked about him before in his style of play, but I just don't feel like I know where he's at, and what I would be buying if I was the buyer coming in trying to get him. I would be hesitant.
So that's the thing. He is so young that it happened 2 years ago. He had a great season, played fantastic, worked really well in
Hmm.
the system, had a lot of assists, created a lot of chances. And then this year, he was a dud. He was a complete dud. Had a horrible season. Just everything about this before they made all the moves. The reason they made all those moves is because what they had wasn't working, and Mount was a big part of it. Uh, the worry for me is that when someone is that young and they play so well at the top level, you kind of just have the expectation that they're going to go up from there and go up from there and go up from there. And sometimes
Hmm.
they just are who they are. Um, and maybe, I hope that's not the case, that he's hit his ceiling. Um, maybe he had a bad year. Maybe he was fighting through an injury that we didn't really know about. That happens a lot too. But I don't know. Like you said, it's hard to gauge where he's at because we haven't seen him play that much. And when we have seen him play this year, he hasn't been very good.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think it's spot on. Like you said, it's like just human nature to just assume if somebody's young, they will get better,
yeah.
right? Because you've seen it one other time from one other player. Oh, they were their best at 32 instead of 25, But the reality is everyone's different
Yeah.
and people may peak early. people may be sort of on the roller coaster their whole career. Maybe they have three different peaks, right? But they have really deep valleys in between. So it is. We're talking
Deli
about
Alley. What's up
huge.
with Deli Alley these days?
Exactly. Perfect example,
Yeah.
right? It's crazy because the amount of money we're talking about is so, like, in our eyes, is so massive. But I guess to the teams, it's worth the risk
Yeah.
with some of these guys, and they're willing to pay it.
Yeah. I definitely think if he's put on the club right now, he's not starting.
No,
Not without injury. So if you're looking
like
at him as a solid backup, I think he's a good
yeah.
backup. He's a great backup to have. Because he's
I would see maybe him starting over Eriksson as he gets older, as Eriksson ages, but that would be about it.
yeah, even that I think would be tough. Because Eriksson,
Yeah, right now.
he's still what Eriksson brings is not speed and athleticism. Uh, he does everything else,
Yeah,
the intangible stuff, the vision, the passing, the playing guys
calming
in space.
presence,
Yeah, he's
the
just
demeanor.
he's just a world class talent. So,
Yeah, it's so we never really talked about it, but it's so awesome to see after everything he went through to see him like back at the Premier
know.
League, starting. Like he isn't just like a three appearance a year sub. Like he's still playing so well.
I know.
It's really, really cool.
And he straight up died on the field.
We watched him die. Yeah,
It was crazy.
It's
So
wild.
Nikki watched. She was in the room when I was watching that. She never watches soccer. She knows nothing. But she was like in the room and saw it happen, and we both were just like, "Whoa, what is happening?" She's like, "Wait, what's going on? What?" Because you could feel it. Like she wasn't paying attention. She was just in the other room, but you could feel it, like the stands, the crowd, the announcers, like the reaction
players.
of the players. Like it was scary. It was just crazy.
So a drink up for you, Eriksson.
Eriksson, you're the man.
You are awesome. All right, our next transfer, partially also linked with Man U. Our first really, really big name from the Premier League. Harry Kane may be on the move in the offseason, leaving Tottenham. One of the potential targets being Man United. Another potential target that recently was in the news is Real Madrid as well. Potentially a not long-term but short-term replacement for Benzema, potentially. Where do you think Harry Kane's going to end up? Is he going to end up at one of these big clubs? Is he going to stay at Tottenham?
I think from a soccer perspective, he makes the most sense for Manchester United. Plug and play, good to go, seamless transition. For some reason, maybe it's just the fact that he's been there forever, I just can't see him leaving Tottenham.
I know.
It's just
weird.
so hard to imagine, but if it were to happen, I think it would be a Robin van Persie situation where he went to Man United.
Yeah. I think it's going to come down to the coach. I mean, I don't know what their plan is with this coaching situation. And I feel like that. I feel like he will make his decision there. And I don't feel like it'll even be like, here's the coach, have a chat with him. I feel like he's going to, if he likes the coach from his past experiences or not, or the teams that he's coached before, he's going to be putting in his resignation, basically, please trade me.
Yeah.
The second a coaching decision is made.
Well, I also think that the Tottenham roster is not that far off. It's not a horrible roster. I think what Tottenham should be doing right now, they should be the ones in the rumor mill. Just put out fake stuff. Be like, oh, Tottenham's looking at this guy, looking at that guy, looking at this guy, trying to get him. Because be like, look, Harry, look, we want you here. We're trying to acquire all this talent. We're going to bring them in. We'll get whatever coach you want. Like they should be, maybe they're doing that right now, but I'm not seeing a lot of Tottenham news on who they're going to acquire here. They just built a big-ass stadium. If they lose Harry Kane, what are they going to do?
I haven't seen anything. Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I like you said, it's really hard to picture him leaving, but I'm sure the same thing, like you said, could have been said about Van Persie, right? And he ended up making the move. So it's kind of setting up to be that classic scenario. I also agree with you 100%. A much better fit for a team like Man United. Staying in his game is just so well suited for the Premier League. He's used to the physical nature. He can use it to his advantage. I think he should definitely stay in the Premier League,
Yeah.
and that seems like the best destination to go to if he were to leave.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right, the last rumor. You
Yeah,
have
you
another
left
one?
this one a mystery for me. What is
I
this?
know because I wasn't sure if you had seen this one. So another rumor floating around right now is a return of a former Premier League great in recent years and a personal favorite of Austin. Rumors are floating around that Sadio Mane may be returning to the Premier League
Let's go.
to either Man United
Oh, God.
or Newcastle.
Newcastle, let's go. He would fit in great with Newcastle. I think a
Yeah, I was wondering
Newcastle,
where would you best want him to go to? What would be your favorite?
Newcastle. Man United, get out of here. You can't have everybody. And plus,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I just he would definitely start, I think, at Man United, or at least he should. I think he's better than a lot of people think he is. But
Yeah.
look at Liverpool. They struggled when he left. Like, just to have another bona fide goal scorer is huge. And Salah on his own is fantastic, but to have him paired with Mane, it was just deadly.
Devastating. I will. So coming from I guess Liverpool's defense, they had two players to replace him. They had Luis Diaz and Diego Jota both get hurt for extremely long periods of time.
It's true.
However, that is just as much an argument of what you're saying here. Is when Sadio Mane was there, he was playing. He wasn't
Every
getting
game.
in, right? So I mean that in and of itself, yes, it could be an excuse for okay why we didn't perform once he left, but it's also a positive for him. He was always available to play. I rarely saw him have to sit out because of injury,
Yeah.
and that's what he brings to the table. He's just a gamer,
Yeah, he's fantastic. Ironically, he was injured for the World Cup, which sucked.
of
But
course.
God, I swear that team, if healthy, could have gone far. I really thought they were extremely good. But yeah, I'd like to see him go to Newcastle. I think that he could shine on that team, and I think Newcastle's got some exciting talent up top, and he would work well with them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a few moves for Newcastle. They are a team where it's like, I feel like they're going to get to a point where they just have too many good players.
Yeah,
And I think it's going to be such a struggle to figure out which are the ones to keep, which are the ones to start.
well, let's
Which are the
talk
ones
about
to
it.
let
Let's
go?
talk about it. So, let's see what they rolled out against Brighton. So they had Almiron, Callum Wilson, Isak, Joe Wellington, Willock, and then Guimares. I can never say his name right, especially when my nose is all plugged up. But Almiron had an amazing season, so it's hard to cross him off the list. I think Joe Wellington, for me, I think he's fine, but I think
he's
you
a
can
step
improve that spot. Like, he's a good player. He's not trash. But if you could just upgrade a little bit in some of these positions, like, that's how you compete in the Champions League. You got to improve.
Yep.
So,
I feel like you have to find the right player to fill him in where they still bring some of the mentality that he brings. But in general, it's like you got Saint Maximin, you got Almiron, you got Gordon,
yeah.
you got all the Willock. You
That
have all
Gordon
these
signing
different
made no
guys.
sense to me.
I know. It was like
They didn't even use him.
exactly. So I do have a few more. These are just, I would say, projections of somebody's thoughts on who the best signings would be for teams. So just give me a yes, no if you agree with these. So we already talked about the Harry Kane Man U. I think we both say yes on that. Good fit. Jude Bellingham to Man City.
No.
I agree. I think he needs to be more on a team like Liverpool or Real Madrid. I don't think he'll play that style as well as everyone thinks he will at Man City.
And also, who's he going to play for? He's not better than Gundogan. He's not.
I think that's the move, though. It's like Gundogan's, he's getting older. Like he would be the long-term replacement there.
I think that's a fallacy. It's like, hey, I don't know. If you are a top club in my eyes, if you are the top tier, you're not planning for the future. You're planning for this season because you have the money to just go and get someone else. Like, oh, who's the best right now? Let's go get the best. Like, let's not get who's gonna be the best. Like,
it's something we don't talk about enough. It's such a mentality that we're not so familiar with in the US because the element that relegation and Champions League qualification brings, both at the top and the bottom of the table, it's always a win now mentality. Mm-hmm. So much more so than in the US. In the US, it's like, oh, we're rebuilding, we're tanking. Yeah. That doesn't exist in soccer. And it makes the regular season and everything as a whole so much more competitive.
Well, and there's no salary cap either. So it's like sometimes you're hindered by the salary cap, or you got to say like, okay, we have this star at the Celtics are a perfect example right now. They have Jaylen Brown, who is coming up to a contract year to where he can make the max. He can get a max contract. However, they have to pay Jason Tatum already a max contract. So having two max contract guys is going to cripple the rest of their team. So they have to make a decision to be like, hey, maybe we don't sign Jaylen Brown or trade him for either a younger asset that is cheaper that will get better or like an old veteran or something like that. So you have to make those decisions, and these teams at the top of the soccer leagues don't do that because they're like, hey, who's the best right now? We need to win right now. I don't need a 5-year project. I don't need to save a couple of pennies. They're just going to go and get who's going to make them win today.
Yeah, because this year matters. It always matters. Not next year, not 2 years from now. This year is what matters.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, next one. Moises Caicedo moving from Brighton to Arsenal.
No.
I say yes.
You say yes.
Yes.
Why?
I think he would be a great addition for them.
Why though? Who would he play? Who would he play over?
Their weaknesses are.
Huh?
Where do you think their weaknesses are?
I would say that the Xhaka position.
Exactly.
which isn't fair. Yeah. But is he a for sure step up? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just a little touchy with any Brighton player going somewhere else. I'm like, no, don't do it. I don't want to see that. You're perfect where you are. Just stay there.
Yeah, stay. All right, next one. A team we've already talked about so much. James Maddison to Newcastle.
That would be cool to see. Honestly, I think he could fit in well with that team. I think he's one of those players that could fit in well anywhere, to be honest. His style of play, I think, matches with a lot of different styles. Excuse me. That's a drink for me. And then I don't want to see that happen, but I think that would be a good one.
I would just like I think he would fit in well. My concern would just be that he rides the bench, and I want to see him play. I want him to go to a team where he can play. So,
Yeah,
all right,
I
last
think
one
he would
for
play
you:
though. I don't know.
Dusan Vlahovic to Chelsea to
Oh
solve their striker
yeah.
woes.
Oh, sign it today. Let's go. Let's go. That's what they need.
That is a good
That is what
move.
they need. Whoever the Chelsea
Uh,
talent scout is, be like, yo, you need a center forward. Kai Havertz ain't it.
he ain't it.
He ain't it.
I finally heard it for the first time today. So I was watching the highlights, and I feel like the announcers or whoever's doing the pregame prep, they're always just saying like Kai Havertz is a striker, and they're kind of just like that's where he should be, and that's
Yeah.
like they just talk like he is the striker and that's where he should be or whatever. And for the first time today, when the guy was introduced to the team, they're like, and he's like, and Chelsea have no other options to play Kai Havertz at striker. And I was like, finally,
I
somebody
know. I don't
sees
know
it the
why
way we see it.
announcers are so in all sports. Like, why are they
Yeah,
so conservative with what they say? They don't want to ruffle feathers. And I feel like, why
I
don't they just
know.
act like you and me? Like
Really.
you're supposed
I know
to.
it was so refreshing to hear.
Yeah,
I was like, thank
exactly.
you. He's not playing where he should play. He's not a bad player. He's not a starting striker. Like
Yeah.
it's just
As long as you're not being mean or like deliberately putting down a player because of some bias or something like that. If you're just your job is to analyze and commentate, be like, hey, he's not a good striker. This isn't the position he should be playing that he's best at. And
yeah,
we have 2 seasons of evidence showing this.
exactly. He scored one goal to win the Champions League that will forever associate him with being a striker.
I think he's one of those examples of like the young guy who's like, oh man, look at this guy. He's got all the tools. He's only 20 something years old. And
Hmm.
then turn around 3 years later and he's
He's
maybe a little bit better than he was when he first got there. Maybe
not
not.
even. I feel 10% worse.
Yeah,
Like
maybe his confidence is lower and he's even worse. Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
the
yeah.
perfect example of that. So.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Do you have any other transfer rumor insider knowledge?
No. But
Okay.
the only other thing was the Jesse Marsh Drake
Oh, some
uh,
other dude.
is the prohibitive favorite for the U.S. men's national team coaching spot, which people assumed, but I've actually seen reports and articles about it. So I don't know what's changed recently because there's nothing confirmed anywhere, but I have seen multiple reports that he is like close to being the coach. So whatever that means.
Okay. I think I'm for it.
I'm
I
for
like
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
think our players would excel in a style that he provides. I think Triple G. One of the things I did not like about his style is that it was very restrictive, and I think he was in horrible, horrible eye for talent. And I think Jesse Marsh should at least know who the best players are because he's coached top players. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's seen the best of the best. He's
Yeah.
played against the best of the best. He knows how to play against the best of the best. That's what we need.
What was that first game, or maybe it was the second match? Haji Wright came in and just played atrociously. Was just
Mm-hmm.
did not belong on the field in a
Liability.
World
Yeah.
Cup. It was
No.
incredibly obvious. Like he is not ready. And then the next match, he subbed Weah out and put Haji Wright in at like the 60th minute. And at that point in time, I was like, I'm out.
This
I'm out.
isn't it.
You are not the coach for me. You don't know what you're doing because that is the dumbest thing I've seen.
God, I would just hope so much that there's just no more political jockeying bullshit with who plays, who doesn't play. We just need to get the best squad out there
Yeah.
and let them play.
Yes.
Let them gel together, learn to play together. Let it be free.
Be free.
None of these dumb decisions, please. All I ask.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay, so that's all the news we have. Do you have any trivia? Or are you, we're
I
going to do the would you rathers?
Yeah, so would you rather's. I don't have any specific trivia.
Okay.
But this I
Let
know
me let
last
me
time I
start
asked
let me
you.
start with my would you rathers because I only have a
Oh,
couple.
you have some. Let's
I
go.
only have a couple. So
Okay.
I'll break it up for you and we'll do a couple of mine and then we'll finish with yours.
Sounds good.
Okay, so these are good because we didn't touch on these guys. So for this one is for next season. Say you are a GM or whatever, the director of football operations or whatever. You have one season, 1 year contract. Firmino or Havertz?
Firmino.
I agree.
Yeah. He isn't just a striker. He also helps create for the players around him. And he's willing to be secondary to somebody else succeeding.
Yeah, he makes others better. Okay, Matoma or Saka?
Man. I don't know how old Matoma is. I feel like
He's like
Saka just because of his
25, I
age.
think.
Yeah, so Saka's still younger than him. I feel like you got to go Saka. Still at such a young age.
Okay, I agree with that. I think Saka as well.
Yeah,
Matoma or Martinelli?
Matoma.
That's where I feel as well. And that is a rumor that I have heard, not recently, but like weeks ago. It was like, hey, Arsenal's looking at Matoma, trying to get him after, like, you know. And I was thinking, I was like, you know, would he? I don't think he's better than Saka. I think Saka keeps that spot, but I think he could beat out Martinelli. But
I
Martinelli's
think so
really
too.
good. Like, I like Martinelli.
He wouldn't bring the same stuff. Martinelli has like a lot of speed and sort of like aggressive attacking to his game. It would be definitely a different style. I feel like overall Matoma is a more complete player though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. But they're close. They're definitely close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good would you rather because it really is
Yeah.
close to a 50-50.
Okay, last one. Gundogan or Casemiro?
Gundogan.
Oh, that was an easy one for you. Okay, I thought that would be
I mean
tougher.
his well, they don't I mean, they kind of play different positions and Gundogan plays a little bit further forward. He's
Right.
able to be more attacking. He can play a more holding, controlling role if he wants. And maybe Casemiro is definitely better than him in that role, right? But the attacking possibilities and sort of flexibility that Gundogan brings you, I feel like is near the top, of players in that position in the world.
Yeah.
Like he can kind of do it all.
Yeah. Casemiro is pretty good going forward as well. He doesn't do it
He
as,
is.
as much because
He doesn't
positionally
do it
he's
as
just
much
not
though,
there.
yeah.
But especially in the
I mean,
air.
yeah, I remember hearing a story about Casemiro. I mean, talking about Casemiro.
Yeah,
He actually started out life as a striker. And there was some point when he was going through academy, I think in Brazil maybe or somewhere else, where there was like I think he said there was something like 20 kids trying to like make the team as striker, and there were two kids trying to make the team as defensive midfielder. And so he said, "I'll play defensive midfielder," even though like his position and sort of mentality. Yeah, he's really smart about it, and so that's how he actually made it. But you're right. You actually do see it when he goes forward. He's able to score. He's able to shoot. He scored a goal today in the game they played. Uh, he is a threat going forward, but he just doesn't do it nearly as much as someone like Gundogan.
And we're back. Major technical difficulty. This one's on me,
We're both
so
gonna
I'll
have a
drink
drink
for
about it,
that.
though.
Accidentally hit the mute button while I had to blow my nose and forgot to unmute myself. So, tough segue on that one. We'll
We've all
just
we've
continue
all
on to
done
the
it.
picks.
We've all done it. How many teams meetings have you been in at work where you just forget that you're muted and you just talk for a
Oh,
whole minute?
every meeting. It's every meeting. Hey, you're on mute. Oh, you're still on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, so we cut our would you rather segment short, but we'll jump right into the picks for the last EPL weekend of the year. There's
Yeah,
a
we'll
little bit
just
of a tear coming out of this right eyeball right now,
yeah,
thinking
exactly.
about the long off season ahead of us.
Yeah, and we'll tease the your would you rather's for next episode.
Yeah, we'll bring those back next week. So, but we already talked about it earlier in the show, but awesome setup for the last Sunday of the year, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. All 10 games played at the same exact time, 8:30 a.m. Gonna be a free for all. Gonna be awesome to watch. The first game on the list, it appears alphabetically, is how these are sorted. So the first game on the list is Arsenal hosting Wolves. What do you have for that game?
I just want to say before we go through these matches that this is by far the most difficult week for me to predict anything. I had
Good
trouble
point.
because it's like how are these teams going to show up? How hard are they going to play? How much pride are they going to have? You know, it's really hard to kind of predict. So I kind of leaned with the home team on a lot of these, thinking that the crowd would help them through. So this one, I went Arsenal 2-0 at home over Wolves.
All right, I went Arsenal 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Same story. All right,
This one,
next game we have Aston Villa hosting Brighton.
it's a really cool game. Um, I think I would have picked Brighton to win, but I think these are pretty evenly matched teams. And since Aston Villa's at home, I kind of gave them the edge. So I brought it up to a 1-1 tie.
Oh, so I stuck with your original thought. I think Brighton, after the last game I saw them play against Man City, they look too good to lose or tie this game. I have them 2-1 in this one. The one caveat being if they decide to roll out some,
Yeah.
backup lineup that they just want to get playing time. But
Or they have
if
a
they
let
come into
off
it with
knowing
half
that
the
they
heart
made
they
the
had in that
Champions
Man
League
City game,
already.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right, next one we have Brentford hosting Man City.
No Tony, no problem last week, but I think they.
I think the problems come back this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I picked Man City 2-0 on the road.
I went 2-1 Man City on the road. Yeah, I think Man City obviously is in save yourself mode for the Champions League final now.
Yeah.
They're not going to put their best foot forward on the attacking side of things, but they're still going to just bring so much talent to the table.
Yeah. That's what they did against Chelsea, and they still beat them 1-0.
Okay, next game up, we have Chelsea hosting Newcastle.
Chelsea is just in shambles. You just can't pick them to beat anybody. Just a bunch of individuals out there. I went Newcastle 2-1.
I went Newcastle 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, you're on it. Crystal Palace at
All
home
right.
for Nottingham Forest. I went 1-0 Crystal Palace. This one, who knows?
I went 1-1 draw.
Okay. Nottingham Forest has been playing well.
They have.
They secured their spot, though. I feel like this might be like a
Against Arsenal.
letdown game here just because they're like, hey, we're good.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my thing. I don't know, though. Again, this was a hard week for me.
Yeah. Tough one.
All right, this is the big one. Everton at home against Bournemouth. What are you going with?
I changed my pick on this one. I originally went draw. I thought a 1-1 draw. I think Everton finds a way to win this game. 2-1
I put 1-0 Everton.
Everton, yeah.
You can't lose this game. Come on.
You can't.
You
At
can't.
home. But the same position they were in last year, they were in this year, right? Can you do it 2 years in a row? Can you keep living this way? Keep hanging on by a thread to the last game of the season?
I know. It's not a way to survive in the Premier League.
Some point it's going to bite you.
Leeds at home against Tottenham. The corpse of Tottenham. I went 2-1 Leeds.
3-2 Leeds. I think it's the only way that Leeds wins.
I did the same thing. Yeah, 2-1. I picked 2-1.
Yeah, same idea though, right? It's got to be a multi-goal game. It's got to be back and forth. It's got to be open, which, as we were talking about with Tottenham just being in the disarray that they're in, it just feels like it's going to be an open game. It's just going to be offense against offense, firing back and forth.
That Leeds crowd is going to be jacked.
Yeah.
Jacked. If they can get a goal up, oh my God. Yeah, that match I want to watch more than any other match. And man, I hope Tottenham just throws in the towel and they're like, hey, let's rest Kane. Let's rest everybody. We don't want to be in that Europa qualifier league bullshit. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. And then Leicester at home for West Ham is the other game that matters. I picked a 1-1 draw. I'm totally picking in Leeds' favor here, except for the Everton one. I do think Everton's going to win. But if they don't, if I'm wrong, then Leeds gets in with a win and a Leicester draw.
True. I went Leicester losing at home to West Ham 2-1.
That could easily happen too.
I think that could easily happen. Yeah. Seal their fate.
Okay, now the less important games. Man United at home for Fulham. I just went 2-0.
I went 3-1. Yeah, same idea.
Yeah. Southampton at home for Liverpool. I went 2-0 Liverpool.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the classic 3-0. I went 3-0.
Did you lock that game?
No, I forgot to say. My lock is actually the Arsenal-Wolves game, 3-1.
Okay. I was struggling with the lock. I was like, Man City or Liverpool? I went Liverpool. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, same idea.
I think Liverpool could lose, though. Like, I didn't feel confident about any of these.
True. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, you just don't know what lineups are going to get rolled out. So it really throws a lot of uncertainty up in the air.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Last picks of the season.
Yeah, last picks of the season, and we have our last prop bet picks of the season as well.
Oh,
so we'll
okay.
quickly
Let's
go through that as our last bit of this episode. So our options, I think I went first last time, so I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Our options are Wolves at Arsenal.
Uh-huh.
Brighton at Aston Villa is just enough to qualify as an underdog.
I mean, it's going to be hard to go against that one.
Brentford at home against Man City.
Nope.
Nottingham at Crystal Palace.
Maybe.
Bournemouth at Everton.
Wow, look at the odds for Leeds Tottenham. Oh my God, it's almost even odds on who's going to win that.
Almost.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Okay, so we're not that far off.
No, we think it could happen.
Yeah.
West Ham is another option against Leicester City as a major underdog, opposite of what I picked.
Yeah.
Fulham, obviously real big against Man U, and Southampton, massive underdog to Liverpool. So lots of options out there. A couple that are probably a little bit easier to pick than others. So I'll let you get the first pick here.
I mean, I think Brighton is the clear pick here.
If they roll out their lineup.
But you know what? I didn't stick with Leeds in my picks. I'm going to stick with Leeds here, and I'm going to pick Bournemouth as my prop bet underdog of the week.
Bournemouth. Okay, Bournemouth at Everton.
They're going to make it happen.
All right.
Just putting it out in the universe.
Brighton. I will take the other pick then, Brighton at Aston Villa. And that's it. Our last EPL picks and prop bet picks of the season in the
Crazy,
books.
crazy. So after this, we'll still have Champions League,
Yep.
and we have a number of starting 11 episodes that we will be rolling out over summer, and
Yeah.
maybe some news topics that we've been discussing that we can roll out as well.
Yeah. Some new ideas that we're flirting with right now. There's going to be the Women's World Cup coming up this summer.
That's right.
We've got yeah. So hopefully a lot of different things to talk about. We know the rumor mill is going to be on fire
Oh yeah.
the second that this Sunday is over. It's going to be nonstop. So lots of speculation and discussion that we'll be having for the future moves of these teams. But yeah, hopefully, even though the season's ending and it's a sad time, a lot of stuff to look forward to over the next few months as we prep for next year.
Oh yeah. It's a year-round sport. They'll be back in like a month.
Basically,
Yeah, there's going to be so much news. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it.
2 months off.
Anyways, end of the season. What a year.
Yep.
Cheers to you, Torrin. We did it.
Cheers.
We made it.
All right.
Cheers to you out there
I'll see you
listening.
next week, Austin.